Hello there. Hi, I'm Gloria Macarenko. Now, whether it's music, food, or just ideas, we get to sample some of the world's best right here in our city. This is our Vancouver. Coming up, how shark conservation and research is key to protecting Canada's ocean environments. And the Lunch Lady, whose Vietnamese street food won over the late Anthony Bourdain. She celebrates her restaurant's second year here in Vancouver. But first, what's opera, Doc? Now, whether it's through Bugs Bunny, maybe The Godfather, or really just about any epic fight scene, the chances are you know more classic opera than you think. And Vancouver Opera is making a show of that with its first annual Opera in the Park. This is a day-long event for the entire family. And with us today is Tina Chang. Tina is the chorus director for Opera in the Park. Tina, hello there and welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me.
So what's the whole concept behind this day of Opera in the Park?
Well, the whole concept is really to introduce opera and to everybody, and that we know opera more than we think we do. They appear a lot in films, in TV shows, and even commercials that play endlessly all day, every day. So we have those tunes in our ears.
I see. So what has to happen in the lead up for a major performance like this?
There's a lot of rehearsal.
Yeah.
First of all, the singers and the orchestra, they are told, they get told what is going to happen on the program. And usually the music director, which in this case is Jonathan Darlington, our music director emeritus, makes up the program, curates the program, I should say, and that information is then relayed to everybody, who then starts preparing their respective parts for this particular show.
So, I mean, I mentioned Bugs Bunny and The Godfather. What are some of the songs or, scores that we might recognize?
Well, this is the Hallelujah chorus from Handel's Messiah. It's not technically opera, but it's used so much, and it's sung with classical singers that people, we can group it as kind of like opera. The Hallelujah, like Hallelujah. I'm sure you recognize that.
For sure.
Nessun Dorma, an aria that's made famous by the great tenor Luciano Pavarotti. A lot of people, I think it's a World Cup anthem, or
Give us a little bit of Nessun Dorma.
Well, at the very end, Nessun Dorma has nothing to do with World Cup, but at the very, very end, the character says that he will win the love of Turandot, and he says, Vincero, vincero, vincero. And I guess this is the anthem for the World Cup, because somebody will always win, right?
I love it. And I love the way we can think about opera being in our midst without really realizing it. Do you think otherwise people might think it's sort of otherworldly, or that's not for me?
I think so. I think it's a little bit like Shakespeare. We have a lot of expressions and isms that we use in our everyday language that come from Shakespeare that we don't even realize it is. And I think the same goes for opera. There are a lot of tunes that we know we've heard. We don't necessarily know that it's from opera, but hopefully this concert will showcase a little bit of that.
Sure. And where did your love of opera begin?
Well, I kind of fell into it accidentally. I was a student that had just finished my graduate studies in Minnesota, way back. I won't say when. And I had, at the time of my graduation, sent out resumes everywhere to every organization I could find. Fast forward didn't hear anything back. Fast forward 2 years, one of these companies reached out, and they were looking for pianists in the San Diego Opera Company. So that's kind of how I fell into opera accidentally.
Oh, lovely. And what do you love about it today?
I love that it's everything. I love that it's storytelling. I love that it's an expression of emotions, whether on the grand scale or on the intimate scale. I love that it's a marriage between voices and orchestra. I love there's a lot of historical and social context that we can really dig into for any of these stories. And also just on the the realistic level of collaborations between artists and all the artisans that work behind the scenes to make a production happen.
Well, I'm excited to hear about this being an outdoor production as well. Do you have to change anything in light of that?
Well, opera is traditionally done without amplification. So if you go to the theaters, everything is what you hear is what you see is what you hear. But because we're outside, we don't have the luxury of an enclosed space to bounce the sound off. So the only thing that's going to be slightly different is that we will be amplifying the chorus and the singers, a little bit of the orchestra as well. But otherwise, nothing changes. The music is the music, and the story is the story.
Were you surprised when you started going into the program that opera was so omnipresent in popular culture?
I was, and I actually saw how many movies some of these excerpts show up in. And I think, oh my God, I have to increase my list of movies that I have to catch up on just to see how it all fits together.
Yeah, and this is really an all ages event as well. How does that feel as a performer or someone who is organizing such an event? That this is not an elite concert. This is for everyone, all ages.
Yes, I think so. The event actually starts at 1 o'clock on the Sunday the 17th. Mm-hmm. So the music isn't starting until 7:30, but there will be a full day events for families and that are music related and that are children friendly as well. So hopefully we can make that link that opera is not so foreign. Yeah.
I love it. Tina, do you want to leave us with a little more of Nessun Dorma?
Oh, I don't know. Come hear the concert. You'll hear the actual tenor sing. It's written for a high male voice. I cannot do that work justice.
Okay, well, you've been a great sport this afternoon with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Jeremy, and this is our Vancouver.
All right, it's time for one of our favorite features. This is where we get to showcase a number of the photographs sent in by you, our audience. Now, Norm Stack captured this busy scene in Richmond of a mother bird feeding her babies, even though they've left the nest. Nice job, Norm. Really great moment there. Now, Parnia Sehat sent us this shot of a cargo ship surrounded by fog at sunset. So mysterious. And this was the view from her bedroom near Kitts Beach back in October. Parnia, thank you. That is just wonderful. And finally, Shawneen Mitchell shot this photograph of double rainbows in Kamloops. Just stunning. We love those double rainbow moments, and do keep them coming. Just email us your favorite photographs. Send it to bcphotos@cbc.ca. That's bcphotos@cbc.ca. Now, coming up, a new app can help you identify birds just by their sounds. Johanna Wagstaffe will be here to tell us how that works.
Not sure if that chirping trill bird call is a sparrow or a warbler? There's an app for that. Well, of course there is. But this bird identification app will also make you a citizen scientist. That was what researchers at the Connel Lab of Ornithology were hoping when they developed the BirdNet app, a free machine learning powered tool that can identify thousands of bird sounds simply by listening to recorded sound. And that means it does not require any bird identification skills to participate. Users simply listen for birds, tap the app to record. BirdNet uses artificial intelligence to automatically identify the species by sound and capture the recording for use in research. The results exceeded expectations. Since its launch in 2018, more than 2.2 million people have contributed data. Their paper on this test run has just been published, and it shows that the BirdNet app successfully replicated known patterns of song dialects in North America and European songbirds and accurately mapped the bird migration on both continents. Validating the reliability of the app was really the first step in what they hope will be long-term global research efforts, not just for birds, but ultimately for all wildlife. So what could this mean? Well, the authors are working on making the entire data set open, which means scientists from all over the world will have access to this growing database of bird sounds, where they are, what time of the year they're spotted, whether that's changing because of outside factors like climate change, is their range moving, migration changing. And the most exciting part is that anyone can be part of this global research just by recording the next time you hear a bird call. And now, your Science Smart. If you have a science question on your mind, send me a tweet or an email and I'll try to get it answered.
This is our Vancouver.
Johanna, thank you so much. You are watching Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. Now, since 1995, a street stall in Vietnam has been serving up noodle soups and other fabulously tasty dishes. But it was in 2009 when the late Anthony Bourdain thrust the Lunch Lady into the international spotlight. And she is here in Vancouver to mark the second anniversary of her first North American restaurant, Lunch Lady Vancouver in East Vancouver. So Nguyen Thi Thanh is the original Lunch Lady. Mrs. Nguyen, hello and welcome to Vancouver.
Yeah. Hi.
So nice to see her. And we are so lucky that Han Nguyen is the manager of the Lunch Lady Vancouver and also going to be here as our translator today. Han, hello and welcome to you.
Thank you. It's my honor. Thank you for having me here.
Now, I'd like to hear from Mrs. Nguyen. You know, you started with this small street stall. How does it feel to have such international attention, international appreciation for your beautiful food?
Khi mở một cái nhà hàng nhỏ là
As opening as a very small food stall on the regular street of Saigon, she's very grateful, especially to her dear late friend Anthony Bourdain. Thanks to him and all he did for her, her name and her food was recognized and was brought into different cuisine and cultures. And she's very, very grateful and feel lucky when a lot of foreigners recognize her and want to take photos of her on the street.
You're famous now, the Lunch Lady. It's true. And it all started with the soups. And I know that the famous quote from Anthony Bourdain was about every mouthful of your soup was like visiting a different neighborhood. So let's talk about what goes into the soup. Well, what's your approach to a beautiful noodle soup?
người ta thường nói là nấu ăn.
She believed that a good soup will be cooked with the soul. So she put all her heart, her love, her care for her diners, and she's loved to feed people well. And she wants to bring a very flavorful broth, which is passed through generations in her family, and present it into the locals now, the foreigners as well.
How long does it take just to prepare the broth?
Một cái nồi súp á,
It's roughly 4 to 5 hours just for the broth.
Just to
For
get that tasty
yeah.
broth. Okay, why don't you get Mrs. Nguyen to just walk us through what we're having here today and what she's prepared.
đây là món bún riêu của Việt Nam.
So here is bún riêu. It's like one of the most favorite soup in Vietnam. So we're having here is a crab meat soup. So we're having some puffed tofu, tiger prawns, some sliced meat, some tomatoes. And for the crab meat, it's actually a mixture between eggs, ground pork, and the real crab bits. So it's create a very distinguished flavor for the dish. Also on the side, it's served with some nice shrimp paste. That is the key of flavorful broth for the
shrimp paste after the fact, after
Yeah,
you've
so
got
you
the soup
put it-
in a little bit of
yeah,
shrimp paste
it's
just for
gonna
a little
be
zing.
kick up. Yeah, it's gonna
A
kick
little
up.
zing.
Exactly.
Okay, well, how do I eat it?
Mình muốn trước khi mình muốn ăn thì mình sẽ bỏ một ít rau vào, một ít gia vị đó vô. Nếu mà mình ăn cay thì sẽ bỏ một chút xíu ớt, rồi mình trộn lên.
So she recommended you to put these herbs.
Oh.
Is a basil and some banana blossoms and bean sprouts, just more texture.
This goes into the soup.
Yes.
I just sprinkle it on top
Yeah.
now, like that?
Yeah, just go for it.
Okay,
And then
and-
if you want spicy, there's fresh chili on top for you.
Okay, I don't want to put all the basil in, but do I break the leaves? Or
Yeah.
am I doing it right? Is this...
You
Oh,
got
it
it.
smells so fragrant. It smells so beautiful. And you suggested a little bit of the paste as
Dạ,
well.
chả ớt chừng.
Okay. And does it, you stir this into the broth?
Yep, go straight to the broth. You got it.
Okay.
All right. Beautiful. And just mix them really well.
This is
And
I don't know
taste
where to
that broth.
start. It's okay. I'm going to try one of these little. This is what you were talking about with the crab and the pork and the
That
egg.
is a house-made fish cake we make in the house.
This is the fish cake.
Yeah.
Kêu con thử riêu cua đi. Mình làm nó.
I don't know how to describe this. It is so gorgeous.
I recommend you to try the crab meat. She wants you to try the crab meat. It is the...
Point that one out for me.
Yeah.
Does this one?
There's a spoon right here for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then take
Thank you for bringing a spoon. But that's typical too. That's what you would
Yes.
have in the restaurant too. So the crab meat is
Eat this right here in the corner.
Yeah.
This right
Just
here.
Take that.
That
a
one,
bit
like
of
that?
soup. That'll be perfect.
that is gorgeous. And I'm again hearkening back on Anthony Bourdain and about every little mouthful takes you on a little bit of a different adventure. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, can you tell me what else you've brought in today? What is this?
Rồi đây là cô hiện tại đây món gì?
Đây là món bánh tôm chiên.
So that is her very original recipe of the prawn fritter. So the batter is just very simple, just seasoned nicely with a little bit salt. So you want to keep the taste very, very simplified. And the way that she make this one is just put the batter in a very wide and flat later, and then put the prawn in the top. They're gonna fry with the oil.
Lovely. How, do you eat this with your hands? With
So
the,
this one I recommend is like a cracker. So you break them.
Okay.
You wrap in a lettuce with all the herb, and then you dip in the sauce. In the dipping sauce.
Wait a second. You said take this,
You break it.
break it up. Okay.
Yeah, and there is a big leaf of lettuce at the bottom. Just
Oh,
wrap,
yes.
Yeah,
You
just
grab
wrap
it.
it in there.
Wrap it in the
Like
lettuce.
a rose, yeah. With all the herb. We have some basil as well.
Put the same herbs. Go back to the herbs.
It's on this one as well.
Oh,
a
I
lot
see.
in the back. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Everything comes on the plate.
Yeah.
You've come prepared, and there's some there as well. Do you put any? And then the sauce goes on there as well.
You dip in the sauce, I recommend.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like you like create your own.
Look at this. Look at how gorgeous this is. You're making your own little lettuce sandwich with the prawn fritter.
Yeah, it's an interesting
and the
part of
basil
it.
leaves as well. And what kinds of sauces are these?
It's a fish sauce. We kind of have some garlic and fresh chili in there.
And it still has that crunch. I'm definitely getting the prawn flavor. It's not overpowering, but the sauce is just, again, bringing it alive, right?
Exactly.
What a beautiful combination. It's seriously beautiful. Now, can we talk about the Vietnamese coffee?
Cà phê Việt Nam.
In Vietnamese, we call it café sữa đá. The distinguished features of the Vietnamese coffee is that it was brewed through a small a filter, and then it's get all the condensed and the concentrate coffee and make it so strong with just a little bit of condensed milk and mix it all up, and it's gonna wake you up right away on the first sip.
I love this combination so much. But before I have the coffee, Mrs. Nguyen, how did the owners of the Lunch Lady here in Vancouver, how did they convince you to share your recipes and share your vision with Vancouver?
Người chủ này là Michael.
The first time that he met Lunch Lady owner, Michael came and dined in her restaurant, and he was impressed about how flavorful her food was. And she wasn't able financially and everything to bring the food abroad. But Michael, who is very young and passionate about the Vietnamese food, give her a hand, and he said yes. He feel like it's a good vibe between them, and that's why she said yeah. Also, one of her promise with Anthony was to bring the Vietnamese food abroad, and she thinks that Michael would be a very great partner to help her to make the promise become true.
Well, she was right. It's worked out so beautifully in Vancouver, and congratulations on 2 very successful years here. Can we have a little toast with our coffee to close things off, everybody?
Cô đóng cụm cho nó. Hai bạn.
Very nice to meet you, and congratulations.
Nice to meet you.
If you would like to get out and see some live music, Toronto folk band Wild Rivers plays 2 dates in BC. First, Vancouver's Commodore Ballroom, Friday, July 15th, and then Victoria's Capitol Ballroom, Saturday, the 16th. Then Billy Talent from Mississauga plays the Pacific Coliseum Monday, July 18th, along with special guests Cancer Bats from Toronto and Hotel Mira from Vancouver.
Hey, I'm Grant Lawrence, and last time we chatted, you may recall that we announced our grand prize winner and 4 runners-up in CBC Music's Toyota Searchlight 2022. Chad Price, an amazing pop R&B singer from London, Ontario, won the whole enchilada in our annual hunt for Canada's best undiscovered musical talent. And it is a much-deserved championship. But did you know that earlier in the competition, 3 great artists won our first ever Fan Choice Awards for receiving the most audience votes in Searchlight? And we think they deserve some attention for that. So check this out. Yeah, that's Leave Those Kids Alone from Windsor, Ontario, with their catchy Sloan-esque tune, Where She Was. That band came together when they were just kids at the Canadian Conservatory of Music in Windsor, and now they're doing great. Get this, they are the house band for the Windsor Spitfires hockey team, and they were among the top 3 vote getters in Searchlight this year, and so is this rocker.
She prowled the streets with the devil in her eyes. She screamed, you better run and hide. She's a shadow behind every door, every corner in the nightmare of your mind. With a knife in her pocket and a gun in her shoe, she said, oh dear, come near, y'all gotta move.
Yeah, that is Madison Galloway, an awesome supercharged roots and blues musician from Fergus, Ontario. Same hometown as trivia fans, the late great Arthur Black from CBC Radio. That was a bit of Madison Galloway's song Devil in Her Eye. And now we're gonna head out to BC for this Fan Choice winner.
Mountain is burning through the wind and snow. Hidden billows of smoke rise, town sleeping below. Oh, your star is burning, flames light up the sky. A heartbeat on the town flickers out by the pale moonlight.
There you go, that's Heather Gemmell from the little mountain town of Kimberley, BC, and that is her song North Star Burning. Actually kind of a protest lament for a very unfortunate arson that occurred in Kimberley in December 2021 that burned down their mountain's main chairlift, which remained closed for the entire ski season. And that tune has really struck a chord with a lot of people and a lot of voters in Searchlight 2022, since those 3 artists have won our first ever Fan Choice Awards for receiving the most votes. And for doing that, they have won new musical instruments and gear from Long & McQuaid, a distribution deal for their song, and a mentor meeting at CMI, Canada's Music Incubator. Congratulations to all 3. I'm Grant Lawrence from CBC Music. I'll check in with you again soon.
And coming up, how sharks play a critical role in marine food chains. Hi, welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. Now, despite all the fascination with sharks, they are actually among the most understudied, misrepresented, and misunderstood marine animals. So in this episode of the CBC series, Coastlines, we're going to meet researchers doing cutting-edge research to help fill in some of those gaps.
What's the scariest thing in the ocean? Erica, what do you think?
I don't really know. I mean, I don't think I'm afraid of anything.
Come on, the answer's easy. Isn't it sharks?
Oh my gosh, no way. Sharks are just misunderstood.
I'm Connel Bradwell, a wildlife conservationist in British Columbia.
I'm Erica Porter, and I'm a fisher here in Nova Scotia.
We are the hosts for Coastlines, a CBC series that brings together young Canadians who are working to save our animals, plants and habitats on all 3 of Canada's coasts. And today we're talking about sharks. Sharks are actually really important to the health of the whole ecosystem, and Canada's coasts are home to a whole bunch of them.
Sharks are a really undervalued group in the ocean.
This is Danielle, a scientist, conservationist and artist based in Vancouver, and she knows all about how incredible sharks really are.
Few people realize that we have close to 25 different species off the British Columbia coast alone, and close to 1,200 worldwide.
That's more sharks than you would think of, hey? That means that there's a good chance that there are some sharks swimming in the oceans behind me.
When it comes to sharks, they come in all different shapes and sizes, and they have a bunch of cool traits.
6-gill sharks, which as their name implies, have 6 gills.
Most sharks have evolved to have 5 gills, and only the oldest sharks have held on to that 6th gill, like the blunt nose.
And this is a species with a vast distribution that has been around for almost 200 million years.
That is a long time for one animal's lineage to be around.
Yeah, so that's why they call sharks living fossils. They've survived multiple mass extinction events, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs. Erica, do you ever see sharks when you're out fishing?
No, not really, but I have seen signs of them, like this mermaid's purse. Now, you may have seen these before, but they're actually way cooler than you might expect.
A mermaid purse is a detachable uterus used to protect and develop their young separately. Think of it as the ocean version of a bird's egg.
So this little shark uterus would have been laid on the sea floor, but you can often find them washed up on the beach after they've been abandoned.
That's so cool. They're a little sign that sharks are around. I really want to go and look for one right now.
You'll want to stick around for this next species. Eric is a PhD student based in Ontario who is studying in some pretty cool places.
Hi everyone, my name is Eric St. Marie, and I'm super lucky because I get to work with one of the coolest species on the planet. They live in the Arctic, they're the oldest living vertebrate on the planet, the largest fish in the Arctic as well, and that's the Greenland shark.
Wait, did Eric just say they're the oldest living vertebrate? How old are we talking?
We are talking 250 years old.
Greenland sharks are a consumer of things like fish and whales, for example. A lot of that is probably scavenged, although we don't know really the extent to which they might be also hunting live animals.
It's actually really important to understand how much a Greenland shark is eating, so that way we can better understand its role in the Arctic food web.
Right, so how do you measure what a Greenland shark is actually eating? I can't imagine it's counting its calories.
Well, that's the cool thing about science, because we don't actually need to know what the shark eats to know how much it eats.
Recently, we were able to get the first ever estimates of metabolic rate for Greenland sharks. So, put simply, metabolic rate is the speed at which our bodies process energy.
I've got it. So you measure how much energy a shark needs, figure out how much it has to eat, and then you can understand the impact they have on the food web.
Exactly. But listen to this. Greenland sharks are in the Arctic, under the sea ice. So, to measure the metabolic rate,
we built these large tanks in the Arctic, put Greenland sharks in the tanks, measured how much oxygen they were consuming over time, and from that we can estimate how much energy they need to stay alive.
Okay, science is so wild, but this kind of research is exactly what we need in the ocean right now.
While what we know about Greenland sharks is super interesting, there's just so much more about them we don't yet understand.
Yeah, and that goes for so much of the ocean.
And it's especially important to start answering these questions in the Arctic, where Inuit livelihood and culture is so intimately tied to the coastal environment.
Well, we're definitely learning about how important sharks are for the ocean, and I've always been a big fan, but Kirsty is a next level shark fan.
As far back as I can remember, I've been obsessed with sharks.
This is Kirsty, a marine biologist and researcher based in Germany, but she's originally from right here in Nova Scotia.
The ocean as we know it today has been formed with these animals as part of the ecosystem.
Kirsty's love of sharks has taken her all over the world for research, but she spends her summers back here in Atlantic Canada teaching biology and tagging blue sharks.
Hold on, how do you even tag a shark?
We're actually implanting, via a small surgery, a very small acoustic tracker into the abdominal cavity of the blue shark.
These tiny tags are implanted through a quick procedure. It's done by trained professionals and doesn't impact the shark's quality of life, but it gives the researcher so much invaluable information.
This acoustic tracker, when activated, will send out these pings into the ocean, and these pings can be detected by the acoustic receivers that are set up under the water. When a shark with an acoustic tag travels close enough to one of these underwater acoustic receivers, the receiver picks up on the unique ping of that tag, and it's how we can identify individuals in certain areas at certain times.
Tracking blue sharks is critical for conservation because they are the most fished shark species in the world. And as we've been learning, the fate of sharks can impact the entire ocean ecosystem.
Our populations here in Atlantic Canada travel all over the Atlantic, and it's therefore really important for us to understand their movements, their habitat use, and see if it overlaps with any regional threats.
People are often surprised about how many different types of species of sharks are in our waters.
This diversity helps maintain a function in the ecosystem.
This is something that all of these researchers have been emphasizing, how connected life under the water really is. And that's why it's super important to be mindful to take care of the whole system.
That's so true, and especially because sharks are the top ocean predator.
And as someone who has also contributed to shark research here in Canada, I can say that I'm so proud at the progress we've made to better understand these incredible animals.
Hi, I'm Gicho Choi from South Korea. This is our Vancouver.
Coming up, how Canada is making it easier for some people to immigrate from Hong Kong. Hello there and welcome back to Our Vancouver. I'm Gloria Macarenko. You know, it's been about 25 years since the Hong Kong handover, and things have been getting worse, particularly in the past 3 years. And that has prompted Canada to create new ways for people from Hong Kong to immigrate here. Immigration consultant Ken Tin Loc Wong discussed that with Stephen Quinn on the early edition.
Tell me first off about the different pathways that people from Hong Kong can take to get here to Canada.
Well, it's a public policy from Citizenship Immigration Canada that announced in May 2021, mid-May 2021, that for those who have recently graduated from anywhere in the world with a post-secondary out of any of the post-secondary institutions or a degree, a diploma, they're able to obtain a work permit that allows them to work in Canada for 3 years. And then that paves the way to Canada to become a permanent resident under what we call the Stream B for Hong Kongers.
Okay, and do we know how many people have taken advantage of that so far?
Well, there isn't a specific number, but there is a particular figure that we have here, that open work permit holders, there's a noticeable influx from 2020 to 2021 from 542 Hong Kong passport holders to 9,292.
Oh, wow, that's really significant.
Yes.
And so to what do you attribute that very substantial increase?
Well, I generally deal with a lot of inquiries, pertaining to being able to come to Canada and work. And, obviously these people are from Hong Kong, and, they're just hoping the fact that they can perhaps come over here and have a, entirely change of life, getting a new life in Canada instead of being in Hong Kong. So, obviously it's a personal choice. And a lot of them are of young families.
Right.
Very, very young families. When I say young families, they have young children. They got married not too long ago. And ultimately, they just want to come over here to have a restart in their lives.
In the handover in 1977, we saw the same thing. We saw, of course, a big influx of people from Hong Kong coming here. But we saw a lot of people sort of hedging. It was the uncertainty that drew them here. They didn't know what was going to happen after the handover.
Right.
So many came here, bought homes, in some cases, put their family and kids here, and then went back to Hong Kong to work. This is different this time around?
Yeah, I actually know a few of these people. The truth is, in Hong Kong, we have approximately 300,000 of Canadians residing in Hong Kong. And I agree with you. At that time, these people, in order for them to get that sense of security, they immigrated to Canada, they obtained a citizenship, and then they noticed there are better opportunities out there instead of in Canada. So they returned to Hong Kong, make their money. There's a second influx of returning Canadians from Hong Kong as well. And you can notice the number here that we see, those who are applying for permanent residency under the family sponsorship class, there's also an influx.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So the typical profile then, is it mostly then young families coming?
Yeah, a lot of the times just young families. For those who are, relatively in the, more experienced in life, rather, I think they're mostly married, and again, they're married to a Canadian. They're hoping to return to Canada to have a mode of life here instead.
How long would you expect this wave of immigration to last?
Well, I think the public policy for Hong Kongers offered by Citizenship Immigration Canada will end in 2026, so I don't see any signs of stopping.
You don't see it slowing down?
No.
And I guess it has to do with a lot of what's happening in Hong Kong and how quickly Beijing continues to chip away at rights and freedoms.
Yeah, so, I cannot imagine when I return to Hong Kong, and it's a place that I'm not entirely familiar with. Partly because, I've lived in Vancouver most of my life. The time that I spent in Canada outlasted the time that I was in Hong Kong. So I don't think there will be, any signs of stopping.
When's the last time you were back?
The last time I was back, interestingly, it was in 2019 when the social movement broke out. And I happened to run into a really old friend of mine at an MTR, which is the metro station, and say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to bring you to sightseeing. And then that happens to be where the protest started. I was in the middle of it.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm Jack, and this is Leo, and this is our Vancouver. I found Trudy.
They are two friends who shocked their families by getting into the food business. And not just in any venue, but the high-stakes Richmond night market. So in this episode of Night Market Neighbors, see how Toby and Jeffrey found success in French toast.
When you take the first bite, it's just like laying on a piece of cloud. It's so soft, it's so fluffy, it's sweet yet savory.
When you bite into it, it should feel like a warm blanket just hugging you. I should feel like a cloud just melting in your mouth.
It's crispy on the outside, but it's soft and chewy on the inside. So it's like, I can't even explain it with words. That's just how great it is. At first, my parents were like, you're crazy. You're 21 years old. You have no background in cooking, culinary.
They did not support me at all in the beginning. They had their doubts. And I get that. It's a big risk, especially for a 21-year-old, still in school at the time, working a part-time job at the bank. And all of a sudden you want to go into the restaurant industry and sell French toast.
I was like, yeah, why not? I'm a risk taker. I invest in stocks on the side during my free time.
We said, let's bite the bullet. Let's do it. Let's do something while we're young. If someone has never heard of Richmond, they gotta fly a plane and get here ASAP.
Personal opinion, within North America, I think Richmond has the best Asian food.
Jeffrey and I met in our first year of post-secondary at BCIT.
Since we're both technically in the same program at BCIT, why don't we put what we learned for the past 4 years to use? And since we're still young, I'd rather take this risk now. We explored a lot of different ideas into owning a small business, a startup, and we thought Richmond Night Market would give us the customers that we need.
We went through a list and we're like, why don't we pick something we loved growing up as a kid? Something that has reminiscing of Hong Kong. And that was French toast, Hong Kong style French toast.
We found a few traditional Hong Kong French toast recipes online, and we kind of just make small adjustments and took the best part out of each recipe.
I'd often come back after a long day of work, find myself in the kitchen with Jeffrey. We'd make toast till like 12 a.m. to 1. We've even done it till 3 a.m.
It took around 6 months for us to perfect the recipe. It was down to grams of sugar that we would put and how long to dip the French toast in the egg wash for.
We wanted to make sure it was not only enjoyable for us, but it was something that other people would enjoy too. And we wanted to just share it with everyone and see how we can elevate it. And so we've created something that has never done before with mochi. It was stressful, and there was a lot of doubt whether we could really do this. And Jeffrey and I, we had talks about should we keep doing this? Is this something we want to keep doing? And we said, you know what, we're doing this together, and we decided to work hard on it.
Toby is just a great people's person. He's great at interacting with people. He's great at customer service. He just have a really sweet mouth, if that's what you would call it. With Tochi, our business, I'm more in charge of the numbers, the accounting, the financials, and he's more in charge of the customer service aspect, the marketing.
We laugh, we share good moments, we share memories. It's a rewarding feeling when someone takes a bite of your food right in front of you. At first, it is actually very nerve-wracking, like, are they gonna like it? But the moment they open their eyes, like, whoa, like that's when you know, I did my job.
One of the customers commented on one of our posts saying that our toast was life-changing. And then me and Toby kind of laughed, just like, how is our toast life-changing? It's just a toast. I guess they just like our toast that much, and it makes our day. When we see our customers are happy with our food, we're happy as well. It's as simple as that.
For me, the goal was to always make my parents proud. They sacrifice a lot for us to do everything we can, pick what we want to do. And I finally understood like hardship, the sacrifice, the hours they put in, and it made me definitely a different person. I've been really proud of what we've been able to pull through. And my parents recently visited us at our booth, and it was a very special moment for me because they were just like in awe of, wow, my son did this. And my family's super proud now. They wish me like continuous success, and I'm very happy for them to support me down the road.
And that's all from our Vancouver for this week. I do hope you can join me weekday afternoons on CBC Radio 1 for On the Coast. For now, bye-bye.